So tomorrow is going to be early for you too.
Oh yeah, that's why I wanted to get up early, so I'm ready to, because tomorrow I had to go up at like, get up at 5 or something like that. Quarter 2 or something. I have no problem with it. But I guess I shouldn't say that just in case I sleep in once in a...
To conserve my voice, I'm going to be very quiet as much as possible.
Yeah, I have cough drops and water and stuff here, so hopefully I can last. Yeah. But that's also a convention thing. Meaning at Gen Con, my voice usually lasts like 3 days maybe, and then on the 4th day I can say anything.
Zoned out there for a second. It's good.
Yeah.
Coffee. Good.
Maybe take every chance to
Yeah.
recover some energy, so to speak. Just take it easy and relax a bit. Let's see here. Oh, I can't see. Let's see if there's
Yes.
Yeah.
What's up, Tom?
Hello, Tom.
Gives people some time to get over here. It's okay. We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
I can hit this next. Y'all, everyone hear us? Sound test. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Yeah. I'm hanging in there.
Yep. Hope they can.
I'm gonna duel it over on Gary Con Greyhawk in a second, but it's because Carlos is coming on. I'm just doing it to fill the gap, the time gap there. So it's the only reason why I'm doing it there. Hopefully we pick up everyone over here. What? Huh?
Thank you, Chemist TP. Thank you.
Okay, let's see.
Yep.
Turning on stream 2. second dual stream, streaming back to Gary Con Greyhawk. Giveaways will, alright, so I'll say this multiple times, but giveaways will only be on Lord Gazumba for obvious reasons, because it's the only one I can control. So let me know if it pops up. Okay, Amanda. So Amanda, I'm gonna be dual streaming on Gary Con Greyhawk for until 7:45. All right, 15 minutes before Carlos goes live. Okay. If you want me to go off earlier on that channel, let me know and I will. Okay, I'm just doing that to fill the hole. There's like a, there's a hole of about 45 minutes to an hour. We didn't want it to have no coverage. But we're going to raid in whatever audience we have here to you when we're done, okay? Off of Lord Gazumba. So we're good. Just let me know. I haven't seen Gary Con Greyhawk going live. I think it has. Just double check this.
Yep.
All right, it's live. Okay, good. I'll be flipping back and forth. I'm going to do my best. Okay?
It's us players who need to work up some barbarian.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Geek Thanks, 20 months. Woo!
Awesome.
Your daughter did an awesome job earlier, man. It was wonderful. So, I don't know if they can save the entire stream until Greyhawk Con. So, this is Anahawk. This isn't Jayhawk here,
This is Meyer Hawk for today. For this one. Otherwise, he's Jayhawk. Yep.
Did I run this? No, did I run this twice? It's like, hey, look, and this is the great thing. Ready? I hit a button here. Shut up! Oh, now it's not working. There it goes. I was like, no!
It's good. You're fast on the buttons already. That's awesome. Yep. Yeah. 2 breaches over Cylinton, actually. But I think they are in canon too. I think the published ones, the Stone Bridge and the Sagging Bridge, I think are both in canon, if I remember correctly. I just made them into having more of a role, as well as with bridges, they're also damming up the river, because it's that northern part is a canal, not a river. But that's something to dig into when we talk about my campaign.
Dig in. Woo!
Okay, yeah, I can understand that, Tom. That so sweet dreams, and I'll catch you.
Oh yeah, it's late there, man.
Yep.
Well, good thing is that this will be I'll immediately upload this to YouTube because I can. The ones that are on Gary Con Greyhawk, we gotta figure out how to get copies. So we're working on it.
So have follow-up and take follow-up questions into legends and stuff like that. If there's something coming into.
It'll connect it all, and yeah. So, Amanda, if you're down, tell Carlos just put in Gary Con Greyhawk and XIII. It'll put it as a separate one beneath his own, right? And then boom, and you're gonna do everything the same as if you were streaming to CSL. Just that's what's so great about XIII. It's really easy. Okay, and just hit that, and it'll go right to it. Awesome. I said I'll be off of that channel 15 minutes. Before you go live. I just want to fill that hole because there's a lot of people. Let me see, how many are on there? We still got 67 people over there. Wow. We got more people there than we have on here. So,
Okay.
yeah. That's awesome. So, I know you can't hear me. I got that too loud.
Okay.
I know, I'm babbling.
So teasers coming. That's awesome.
So, welcome to, and we are early, 10 minutes, so,
Yeah.
but that extra 10 minutes may be the difference between life and death. You never know. I'm just kidding. But, what we got? I'll let the song play. We still got 2 minutes left of this great song. The name of this song is Death or Glory. So,
Okay. Wow. Wow.
yes. I mean, I love this Dark Fantasy Studios work. So, any of you on Gary Con Greyhawk, you're more than welcome to stay there, especially if you're going to watch Carlos. That's fine. Just note that I'm going to have giveaways, and I'm going to have them on my channel. This was not scheduled to be on Gary Con Greyhawk. I asked the text, the powers that be. I said, "There's an hour gap. Let's fill it with something." So I said I'll dual stream the first hour. So I'm dual streaming the first hour to both channels until Carlos comes on his allotted time. All right, but you're feel free to watch them on both. But after that first hour, Carlos will be up, you know. So just to give you a heads up, what's going on here. Like I said, one split audience will not be a big deal, but feel free to be on either one. But signing up for the giveaways can only happen on my channel. All right. On both. Oh, there you go. And you get credit for both, believe it or not. If you're on both channels, it's credit for both. So, yeah. And I already told Anna I wasn't going to talk this much.
Well, let's see. Yeah. Thank you, Extort.
It's good to have just the regular shout-outs back, though, and not the cut and paste ones. Beep, beep, beep. Makes it easier.
Yeah.
We're cranking it up here. We got 78 people already. We had 100 people last night on After Dark. Was that insane,
Yeah.
Anna?
That's.
It was insane.
That was completely unorganized. Just.
And I knocked the power cord out.
Oh, exactly. You unplugged the camera and did something, and when you walked around the computer and everything went haywire for 10 minutes. Well, thank you, Extort. Yeah, I hope that I can come up with we can have a good discussion and some stuff.
Good evening. I'm J.K. Lurgazumba. If you want to know why it's dark behind me, it's so freaking hot here. I mean, this is South Jersey, and I'm steaming. I got my window open, I got my fan on, and I have the lights turned off, and I got this stupid LED ring, and that's it, right? So
yeah, you have it warmer than me for that's a rare thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the oh no moment. So welcome to a very special. It's not a Gavin. This is a true Anna seminar tonight. So
well, kind of. Yeah, we've had it a couple of times now. So yeah.
Yeah. So we got a question out there already. Carlos, Kayla's stream is going to be on Gary Con Greyhawk. So you got to go to the Gary Con Greyhawk to find the videos because they're all there. They're not on their own streams. It's going to be like the second stream. You got to go back. You got to click videos and you got to scroll through them and click another button. It's kind of a pain because you only see the last 5 vids. So that's where it's hidden. So when you do that click and your channel goes up and down, that's where you can find it. So really? Okay, I'll take a look when we're done here and see because it was a good one, definitely. I have central air, but I ain't turning it on right now. My wife's out, my son's not here. I'm not turning it on.
Yeah.
So all right, so tonight I know we're real early.
Yeah,
and I'm going to sit back and
lots
just
of
flip
time.
screens. So
Yeah.
Anna, take it away and The streets are
Yeah,
yours.
we have some minutes before we can kind of officially start, because I don't want to kind of get into the actual seminar before time, so to speak. So we have to give people a little bit of time to come in. But this I can talk a little bit about. This is a type of seminar I've given now probably about 5 times at Gen Con, Gary Con, PAX, Gamehole Con, and several other conventions too. And sometimes I've had it with a good friend, Elissa Faden. A lot of you know her from doing fantastic maps and stuff. We had a seminar together once. That was a lot of fun too. But actually having it online is kind of a good format to have it, because now you can. I have all the stuff here, so to speak, so we can kind of and chat and ask questions. So when you do it live in front of an audience at the convention, the problem is that then you have projectors and you have a screen, and the graphics quality is sometimes abysmal, to say the least. It's kind of terrible. So in a way, this is a seminar that I think is really good to have in a digital format. And I also have handouts now. So at various intervals during the seminar, when I show a slide with the picture, I have the real original image, so to speak, JPEG. So I'm going to link that in chat. So for those of you who want to see that, you can pick up and see the image for yourself and zoom in and do things like that. So there will be probably about a dozen or so handouts during the show as well.
That is awesome.
Yep.
That is awesome. It doesn't
Yep.
and that's good. And Anna has a great system. You have them Dropbox or Google Map.
Oh yeah, I have Dropbox. So I just right click and drop the public link in the chat, so you can just download them and look at them.
Sorry to hear that, Daniel. Sorry to hear your game got canceled. And Anna has like a 1 million terabyte Dropbox.
No, I have a 3 terabyte.
Oh, okay.
I need to clean it up. I have a monthly routine that I clean my Dropbox, because when you work with this, you have to save. I usually save every time I do something a little bit new feature. So twice a day or something like that, I save a new version of the file. Sometimes 3-4 times a day, I save a new version. So that means that I can end up with 30 or 50 versions of large files, and each of these files can be 50 gigabytes or something like that in size. So I need to clean them up or kind of delete them and move them out of Dropbox. But I use Dropbox for everything that I work on at the moment is in Dropbox, just in case someone steals my computer, the house burns down, or some earthquake happens and everything goes haywire. So, and it's also syncs between the computers, which is good.
Awesome.
Yep. So that
lots of great handouts coming. That's cool. I mean, we had handouts. Gary, and please do this. Gary, will you link your one from Wednesday night? A lot of people still asked for it, and I bet you there's people in here who would want the Isle of Dread for the Greyhawk one. If you please link that in chat when you get a chance. So
that was the best summary ever of Isle of Dread, and I hope every part of Greyhawk should have a summary like that. That was awesome.
Well, we're gonna do that. That spurred on a whole new series of Legends and Lores.
Yeah,
Castle, right? We're gonna do that one, and we're gonna do some other ones too. Thank you.
Spine Castle.
Spine Castle. We're gonna hit them up. But go back to Iron Gate. We're gonna do a bunch of stuff. So
especially ones that have had different things over the years, so to speak. Not some of them have like one defining product, but some places in Greyhawk have a couple of things from the early days, and then there was a major module or a source book, and then there was a return thing and some dragon articles and stuff spanning 40 years. So
very, very cool. That is awesome. All right, so since a lot of us are here and we're going to stay here until the show's over, I'm going to give up. And once again, this is a semi great sponsor giveaway. Thank courtesy of Troy, making it easy on me. I'm going to do all the mail out ones on the Ask the Experts. That's just so we're doing tonight. We're doing like we did the other night. We're doing a $25 gift certificate to CSL Entertainment, which is actually a credit. You put it in as a credit, and a $25 credit for Reaper Miniatures as well. First winner gets their pick. Okay, and you have to be on to claim that at the end. You got to be on Lord Gazumba to even sign up for it and claim it. So there you go. Like I said, but you can be on both. Okay, so sign up away for those, and note that we'll do that at the end of the stream, whatever time that may be. And we're 1 minute before Anna, and we got 113 people on this, and we got 40 We got 50 on the other one, so we got
Awesome. So
160. Yes.
thank you guys for tuning in. And thank you.
Yes.
Well, welcome to my kind of seminar. I'm going to talk. There will be, of course, first a batch of what I'm up to, and first and foremost what I'm about to do in 2021, and maybe some ideas of 2022 and 2023 as well. We'll see. I haven't not detailed that many slides that far because things are in flux when it comes to a lot of things like that. But then there will be a bunch of a deep dive into the new generation of Greyhawk maps, and not only Greyhawk map, other maps too. But Greyhawk is my test bench, so to speak, for things. That's my test arena, because that's a setting I love and I can do, and I do for my own games, and I do it for my patrons and all the Greyhawk fans. So I just love to do it, and I can do it in my own pace, and I can do it the way I want it to be done, so to speak. When you do maps for commissions for other publishers and stuff, it needs to fit their format and their ideas and their time frame. So then you have to cut corners sometimes. But this project will be a labor of love, so to speak. And thank you everyone to making this possible for me to do this. This is just awesome. I'm so thankful to everyone who helped me on Patreon, and someone who sends me some occasional money on PayPal and stuff like that. It's fantastic.
Best $5 a month. I know you have a little bit of a different plan to make it even cheaper. That you can spend.
I'm going to rejig the tiers a bit, and also the goals and some of that this spring, probably coming in May. That's the idea. So I will present that in the coming weeks a little bit more in detail, so to speak, and new goals. And I'm going to talk a bit about those goals, but there's some of them are in flux, because I have talks with various partners and stuff on various aspects of this. And before anything is solidified, I don't want to talk about it, because then I can promise things that that I might not be able to deliver, or someone else, I might get in trouble. So we'll see. But first, go to the second slide, and first I want to talk about something that I think have been fallen between the chairs a little bit, and something that needs a little bit of love that we did last year. That was the main thing, so to speak. And I want to kind of dig into to talk a little bit about the atlas. Okay, yeah.
Coffee. I'm just
yeah,
saying.
Can you move the second slide?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Please.
Yep. Oh, no problem.
If I'm a little brain dead tonight, everyone, I apologize.
It's okay. Yeah. So yeah. First of all, the atlas, the kind of the convenient version to use the map, because so many people point out to me, I'm a master at frying computers and graphics cards and stuff. So because the big map, the PDF is like 300 megabytes, and it's really tough to use it, especially the PDF version, because there's literally thousands of vector image things on the map with heraldry and symbols and roads and all that. There's probably hundreds of thousands of vector objects on it, and a lot of the computers can't really handle it. So the atlas is a more convenient version of it, and I'm updated actually a little bit. I've made sure that now there is a combined version that has both the heraldry and the index. And I have to shout out to Dwayne Costa that made the index and spend weeks on getting the index. And I think that's the only index of all the places in Greyhawk in existence that had all with the references where the map you can find it. So it's basically the world of Greyhawk in 50 indexed pieces. They're 11 by 17, and I made a combined version. One is 500 megabyte size. That is full quality if you want to take it to the printers or you want to print it. The other version is 117 megabyte, a combined version. That one is more for use on your iPad or stuff like that on your computer, but it's slightly reduced in graphics quality, so it's not really suitable for print. So that is the I'm going to put a link to the atlas here in the to my Dropbox folder, where you can find all the oh yeah, Dwayne is in chat. Awesome. Yeah, let's see if I post there you have the it's a bit.ly link, so it goes straight to my Dropbox. So there's nothing else nothing fishy that way, but I use it because it's easier to remember, and also I can re-edit them and make sure that they work. So okay, so that is the
Shall I switch?
yeah, please go to the next one. So let's go in and
Thanks,
talk
George.
a little bit about what's going to happen this year and what I have planned. So 2021 has the two big projects is to update the old workhorses, so to speak, the map of the Flannies and the atlas of the Flannies. This 576 have been the focus for the last 2 years, and it's so funny because when I did the 598 map for like 10 years, it's been the standard version. People were always bugging me, oh, can we get a 576 map, can we get a 576 map? So it became a mantra. So I was like, I need to make a 576 map. And last year was I made the 576 map, and now people start bugging me and say, oh, when can we get the 598 map update map updated? And people said, oh, have you forgotten about that one? And so now I realized that, okay, we need to bring up the 598 map to the same standard as the 576.
You guys
And
are so
no, but I understand it
spoiled.
because when you have it, you don't need to bug me about it. But it's not so that's the thing. So this year I have to spend probably about 3 months or so to update the 598 and the 576 map, and also to make an atlas version of the 598 map as well. It will not take as long, because when you do something the first time, it's always more difficult. So Dwayne, I've already talked to him, and we collaborated a bit and said we can do an index on the 598 map as well. So we have that, and the index in the same link that I sent to you, there is an Excel spreadsheet that you can download with the index in an Excel spreadsheet. If you want to import it into something else or something like that, you can get an index. And
Cool.
there's one version of the index that has the duplicates, because if you have like the duchy of something, the duchy of Ulik, you can either find it on U or you can find it on D. And there's one version that doesn't have the duplicates, so you can kind of pick the one you want, so to speak. But the index is kind of linked, so you can actually find things under various different letters, because it's kind of fantasy names are not that obvious what version you're using.
Very, very cool.
Yep.
Thank you, Chemist DP, for that. He said something nice about holes, and that was very nice to hear. So
okay, awesome.
Yeah, that
yep.
was awesome. Switch, or are we good?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, switch, because we have one more thing. Well, switch back again. But there's,
Sure.
I'm sorry. There's a couple of things we
Sure.
should,
No,
I
we're
should
good.
add about this. Yeah. So there is that one of the main things to kind of overhaul is the Azure Sea and the southern. We talked about that on the last Legends and Lore on the Isle of Dread, and one previous show. So there's a bunch of things that, because that was on the periphery on the map, I didn't pay that much attention to it, and there was several sources when I did that part of the world, like probably 15 years ago or something. Then there was a lot of things that were not created then, and I didn't have access to, or someone hadn't shared it with me. I wasn't aware of it. So that's something to go down and create. And it's hard when the map has this big square, and it's 116 by 110 inches, so it's so large that it's too large to print already. So I can't make that format any bigger. It's kind of hitting all sorts of limitations from Illustrator and technical PDF, whatever, lots of size limitations. But the Atlas format is more interesting because it's small little chunks. And remember, that's how it started, with these kind of small little mini pieces of the world. So the Atlas of the Flannies is kind of easy to add a page or two. So that's something I plan to do to expand the map. So some of the islands that are cut off and stuff like that, so we can easily add a page or two, and I'll talk to Dwayne too, so we can add that into the index too. So the Atlas can actually expand a bit more than the map of the Flannies.
Very cool.
So that's that. Yeah. So that is a possibility, definitely a possibility, and I want to do as much as possible with it to bring it into the new standard. So do we have any other questions and stuff? So,
yeah, Patrick, you never have enough memory for your PC.
No, exactly. I have 128 in my computer now, and that is not enough for 3D. So I need to get one with 256 or a half a terabyte, or maybe even more, maybe even a terabyte of RAM, because that speeds up, because they need to swap when you render something in World Machine or Gaia or Blender or something like that. It needs to swap, and swap takes a long time. And I want to get a new computer, but right now it's out of my budget. But it's hard to get computer hardware, so I need to wait a bit and earn more money and then try to get a really good computer. But then I want to have really fast SSD drives, so you get these kind of NVE SATA and RAID them together, so I can have two of them with 4 terabyte of really fast SSDs and hopefully 1 terabyte of RAM. That way I can speed up rendering really fast.
So Pat66 says, do you have M2 drive slots? Now, Pat, here's the problem with them. They break real easily, don't they? I had one and it went on me after like 3 or 4 months. And so she has a lot of great memory on there. Yeah,
I have 2 already in one of my computer and 1 in the other one. But the problem was that the drives, I only have 1 terabyte drives, and it's only PCIe 3, and I want PCIe 4 ones, and I want much bigger ones. And the problem is that I don't want to reinstall things and stuff. So it has to wait for the next generation of computers, so I can get PCIe 4 and I can get 2 terabyte ones and plug them in and then RAID them or something like that. We'll see what kind of technical limitations could be. But the good thing is that it's only going to be swap disks. So if they break down and I have to buy new ones, not much big of a deal. So that's the good part. It's not going that my system will fall over, so to speak. It's only there to act as extra RAM, so to speak. But so hopefully the map will stay the same, but the atlas is something that I think could actually be more beneficial, because you can easily add more atlas pages, so to speak, and publish it. So it will be kind of fun to see that the project will actually go back to its original roots when you have these small little piece by piece thing, instead of having one big map. So that we will invest some of that, because that means that we can do some interesting things on the rest of the world too. Yeah.
That's a good look. I just am like, anime have to wake me up, so I'm good. I'm hanging in there. We got After Dark tonight, so at midnight, so 11:30 or whatever. So
okay, so let's go in for the next one, and let's go to Lendor Isles. Yeah, I made this slide for Gen Con 2 years ago, and that's when I first said I'm going to do Lendor Isles. And I started Lendor Isles, and I have a fairly decent model of the isles on it, so to speak. But then I wanted to have Len's input, because that's when I got contact with Len, and I said, oh, awesome, now we can have an input. And Len is awesome, but he's not that much into geography. So when I asked him what the island looked like and sent him my map, I got a wonderful Len answer that was so cool. He said, well, that village, they have a cleric of God so and so, and he's 13th level, and that's very unusual in that area. That was his reply, and I realized that was an awesome reply to a gamer or someone who's running a game. But if you want to map the island, what level and god the deity the cleric serves in the local temple is not really that useful to me. But I was kind of so in awe to just have him to talk to, that I didn't dare to rock the boat too much. So I was kind of hoping that I could get into the discussion, and then he fell ill for the first time really bad, so to speak. So we had to postpone the project a bit. So it's been hanging there a bit, and then about a year ago, I realized that now I can actually do Lendor Isles, and I can do maps way better than I could, because there was a new kind of a semi-new generation of tools that came out. And I realized now I have the possibility to do rivers properly for the first time in history. The rivers have been kind of an ad hoc thing that I had to program in. First, I painted them on in Photoshop. The old Planese map doesn't have any real rivers. It's just me painting Photoshop jobs, so to speak. And then in World Machine and stuff 10 years ago, I learned to program rivers that are kind of semi-real, but they're not really real. And now I have the tools with the new version of World Machine and some clever programming. I've been able to do rivers that actually works more like in reality. They flow downhill. They actually, you get drainage of the whole landscape drain. Because like most of you who've seen the real world and thought about it, you realize that almost every river, every valley flows downhill towards lower land, so to speak. There are very few valleys that are kind of cauldrons. They're very rare in nature. Almost everywhere it's drained, except like terrain that is very new and fresh, like a volcano areas like in Iceland or other places where the volcano. There you can find valleys that are completely enclosed and there's like a lake at the bottom or something. But all the old eroded countryside is always have drainage systems that are very elaborate and they work according to certain basic physics, so to speak, and basic geology. And I wanted to replicate that. And that has been an enormous pain in the bee for 20 years. But now actually I have the possibility to do it. So thanks to some features in World Machine and Gaia and some clever programming, I can actually do it. And so that
Awesome.
means that I wanted to sit down and do it again. And also I can work on a detail level that is way more detailed, meaning those examples you see there, they have maybe probably about 500 feet or 300 feet per pixel. And I realized that's awesome for if you want to do a world map. But if you want to do a map of each region by itself, like Lendor Isles is 100 miles, I wanted to have something that was useful for adventuring. So 5 feet per pixel is the goal that I'm aiming for now. So yeah, and we're going to see examples of how the 5 feet per pixel maps actually look like and how they're made and what you can do with them, so to speak. So yeah, it's coming.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Switch it.
Yeah, well, a few more words. I'm going to
No,
say,
go
so
for it.
Lendor Isles is starting, I'm going to do next week. I'm going to start laying the foundations for what I hope will be a kind of a definitive version of Lendor Isles. And that will go in spring. So maybe by midsummer or something like that, we can have a fully mapped Lendor Isles this summer. That's the goal, so to speak. And then I'll spend the rest of the year updating the atlas and the map from the 576 and the 598 map. So do we have any questions on this? I haven't
Any
really followed
questions?
it yet. Okay, good.
Bobcat says he's suddenly suffering feelings of inadequacy. Well, that's okay.
Yeah, but that's a perfect segue to the next topic. So move the next slide, because here comes the things that make me feel kind of both inadequate and I have to tread carefully and stuff. And I also have to feed my familiar here. Minnie wants to have
The
some
ever
treats here.
mysterious Tim, Anna Earth.
Yeah. Yeah, and a worth. Yep. So map responsibly. That's something that have struck me more and more as I've become more professional. Meaning when you do maps for your own campaign, you can do maps any way you like, because it's only you and you and for your own games. And if you do something wrong, it's and tread on someone, it's your players that will complain, and no one else doesn't concern anyone else. So you can basically do whatever you want, and you should do whatever you want. The problem comes when you start mapping either professionally, when you start doing it for clients and stuff, but also when you do fan-made maps like I do of Greyhawk, because I'm treading on others' creativity, meaning all you guys have your own version of Greyhawk, meaning you know what it looks like, you know who lives there, what magic they're using, how the monsters are, and where the orcs live, etc., etc., etc. So I need to, when I'm visualizing a setting, I need to tread carefully so I don't stomp over and say that, oh, here is what Greyhawk looks like, and you guys were wrong, I'm right, so to speak. And that is something that I'm thinking about very carefully, so to speak. That I'm kind of making sure that I try to have a broad kind of well, it's hard to kind of put words to it, but I want to make sure that I map responsibly. So I don't want to sound like pompous and say I know how it's done and this is the way it is, or take it or leave it, because that would that would be an injustice to the Greyhawk community, and it will make sure that I have to find something else to do, so to speak. So that is very careful, and that's something I want to tell other creators too. When you reach a certain level, and the more you want people to like what you do and stuff, you have to do what you do responsibly. You have to be creative and awe-inspiring, and the best way to make people like what you do is to keep doing it, getting better, and listen to others, so to speak. So, but I wanted to put out there because it's really, it's an important thing. I know that all of you who watch this, and a bunch of others who use my maps and like my maps, you still have awesome creative images and ideas of Greyhawk, and I don't want to tread on them. My idea is that I want to be the canvas for your stories, and that's the next slide. So go into
All right.
the next slide, and so that is because that's the way I see what I do, is that I see myself not as someone who paints a perfect picture or makes fantastic art, or an artist that makes finished art. I see myself as providing the canvas for your story. It's a bit like someone who makes a rule system. Game designers who make a rule system, they don't create the perfect art or anything that way. They create a tool set that others can use to weave their stories and play in their games. And I see the same way with me and doing my maps, is that I want to create the canvas for you guys to play out your stories and stuff. And now I need to make sure that I go into my notes here. So I have.
Anna
Yeah,
really
so-
needs to go to her notes.
No, rarely, so to speak. I just make sure that I formulate myself right. So the way I look at games and gaming, the components of them, is that there is the you have the crunch of and we use the terms crunch and fluff a lot in the tabletop RPG community, and I kind of like those terms a bit, because I see crunch, all the rules and the hard stuff, so to speak, the mechanics of it. I see that as the scaffolding, that's the bone of the game, so to speak, the scaffolding that makes that get things put together in perspective and make it work. And then I see the fluff. That's the heart and soul of the game. That's what makes it fun and interesting and inspiring and all that. And maps, I see them as a third pillar, because the maps, to me, whether it's dungeon maps or overland maps, city maps and stuff, I see them as the canvas for the stories. That's where, and that is also analogy, meaning Jay is one of these masters of using miniatures, and that's another way of mapping, but it's mapping with real things instead of mapping with a paper or a digital image, because that's also the canvas of the game, so to speak. That's where you put your miniatures, and that's where the stories play out. So I see myself very much as a canvas creator, way more than someone who creates finished art, because I don't see a map as a finished thing. A map is something that you use every session, and you tweak it, you change it, you add to it, you delete it, you repaint it, and there's like a demonic invasion, or we just ruined this keep, so now it's a ruin. Instead of a yellow symbol, I put a gray symbol on my map. So that changed every session. Yeah.
I'm going to say something. I'm going to chime in here. So I'm going to give you an example of what Anna is talking about, because my voice, I got to conserve the voice here. So Anna it does edits for me, and I have Hearthguard Tower in the Lord Mill Mountains outside of Altamira on there. Rich Longitalos and David Leonard are doing a project in the Lord Mill Mountains and are running that underground dwarven, community, the old tunnels beneath the Lord Mills, and they go, "What's this Hearthguard Tower?" And so then I explained to them what it was, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool. It's perfect. We're going to have it come up in that area, come up underneath it." So it leads the maps lead to other things, from other people, and that's what's so great. Like Dunmounds being on the Salt Marsh area map for Hardened Holes, So. Yep.
We have a great question from Patrick,
yes,
Canadian
you do.
Ancient Gamer. Yeah.
Okay,
if I wanted to print a map, no, the maps, and now let me. That's stupid. I should have had a slide about that. I forgot that. I've had it in every every seminar up until now. The map, all my Greyhawk maps to date. There might be exceptions in the future due to licensing changing rules from Wizard of the Coast or something. But up until now, every Greyhawk map that I've ever produced I've released them under Creative Commons, the CC by SA by NCSA license. That basically means that anyone can take and use my maps. They can share them, change them, edit them, and re-share them and spread them around, as long as they don't do it professionally and they keep the same license. I put that SA in there to keep the same license because I wanted to make sure that all the derivative work of my maps should also be available for everybody to use, so to speak. So and that also means that you can download a PDF or a JPEG of my site and go to a printer and print it out. It's a Creative Commons, so you can do it. And you can even download it. You can even download the Illustrator file from my website and do your own version and share that on the web. For you don't need to, you only need to make sure that my name is still on your version. You can say that this version I did, or like you did, and then it's based on my version. You have the rights to do that. You don't have to ask me in advance. You don't have to pay me anything. So because I want this to be a material any DM can make their own version of. That's the key here, so to speak.
Minnie is you got a dog.
Oh yeah.
Minnie looking for food.
Oh yes, yeah. Minnie always looks for food. So, but believe me, she's not starving. We had lunch before we started this. She's had so much to eat. It's the reason she's so interested right now is that there's a new version of liver treats. There's a new set batch of liver treats that she got a few days ago, and she's dying to get more of them. So yeah.
Some questions out there, John D.
Oh, yeah.
About the
yeah,
VTT.
we have a perfect one. Do you have a recommendation for a printing company?
Okay.
No, right now not. But I am in talks with I'm going to see if Noble Dwarf can make a version that Noble Dwarf can print. I can't promise anything yet, but he's such an awesome guy, and he's also fairly local. He's out in Victorville, not too far from here, like an hour away. And so that means that when the pandemic is over and stuff, and we are vaccinated and stuff, I might even be able to go out and visit him, and we can see if we can have a version printed.
And who printed your atlas out? Remember, and they showed the entire atlas printed. Do you remember who that was? Someone printed.
Oh, there's several. Yeah, I've seen 4 or 5 different people have printed them. Some I know have just taken the PDF to Staples and printed them, and some of them have printed their own. The atlas is 11 by 17, so you can actually get photo paper to your 11 by 17 inch printer or larger, and then print it at home. I printed the whole map, and I'm going to give that to someone here that I promised a map before. So yeah, so
very cool.
Yeah, so I have a whole set of map with 66 prints, I think it was. So it costed me like $200 in ink just to print it. Yeah, it's hideously expensive to print large high quality maps like that. It costs to print the big map. I've checked with a few agencies down in or printers down in LA that can print really huge, large. They can print it. They wanted between $500 and $800 to print the map in 300 DPI on photo paper. So it's ridiculously expensive. So I haven't actually printed it full size yet. We'll see. Once I might have a budget to do it next year or something. We'll see. Yeah.
So you want to tackle the one John D asked about a 5-foot scale, or is that coming up to VTT use?
Oh yeah, 5 feet on the current map. It's such a large area, so you can to use the current maps in VTTs. Just take the JPEG version and then take it into GIMP or something, or Photoshop, and then just cut out or copy the areas you want, and then you can paste it in, because that one doesn't really, it's a mile per pixel, so it's not really for detailed overland travel. It's more like to get it tell the players that, okay, you're here and that city is over there, that country is more for orientation, not for actual gameplay. The new maps I'm working on, they will be for actual overland travel. They will be so good that you can actually do it because they're 5 feet per pixel. So
Will we
there's more
see some
coming.
of them tonight, maybe?
Yes, you
Ha
will see, and
ha!
there will also be the handouts. So I will give you
Ooh.
links. Yeah,
Aha.
links that coming. Yeah, on that. So yeah, so they're coming.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you can see the ones that are in on this slide in the background is the top one, top right, that you can recognize. That's part of the Flanies map. The other one down left, that is part of a set of islands I did for, that was the second Patreon project I did in the early days of my Patreon when it was more technically oriented. So it was a first tech demo of 5 feet per pixel maps. But they were technically so and so, and it's actually a set of islands I just did I just wanted to do something that was manageable, that was within 100 miles or so. So I did them like 3 years ago. And now I call them Esthold Islands, and I put them out in the Solnor Ocean. So that will be my little contribution to the world, one of the first ones. So it's actually in there. So I will present that in an article in Earth Journal or something like that down, and place them on the map properly when I have more write-ups.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so and the middle one I did for a company for I forgot which one, but it's a commission map that one of the few kind of wilderness maps that I've done that is in area encounter maps. So it's, and I'm kind of happy I did that in Photoshop, completely in Photoshop. So I wanted to see, and I took that commission because it was a challenge. I wanted to see if I can do local maps as good as any of the other map makers I've seen out there, and I'm actually really pleased with the result. Those trees and the water and stuff looks roughly not as good as the masters, but not far from it. So I was really happy with it. It took me several weeks. So people wonder, why don't I have maps like that in my own games? Is that I don't have the time to sit and do it for my own games. So, but you will get some views a little bit later on here. So we half an hour in, so we need to move forward, I guess. Any more questions on this? Yeah.
So Carlos, we will be closing out the stream on Gary Con Greyhawk in 15 minutes. Okay. Give it to Chuck for the joust. We decided there, great, that we weren't going to, let the fans completely assist one person to win or not. So, but we'll see there. But Chuck, Chuck would need it. So, Chuck just became a grandfather, by the way, everyone.
Oh, good, wonderful.
Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt
Excuse me.
when Stephen Chenault was on his. I didn't want to ask him in chat like how it went, but that's wonderful to hear.
So
that is fantastic. Okay, so now visualize the world of Greyhawk. Yeah, that's what I tried to do 20 years ago, and when I started, like 30 years ago, when I started planning to do a first map, that was kind of but the technology was not there, and also my knowledge was not even anywhere near, meaning I was just a nobody who liked to use maps and loved to look at hike and look at the world. So I had a pretty good idea what the world looked like, but I had no clue on actually how to make that happen using computers or any other tool. So I sat down and learned, and the tools got better, the computers got better, and I got better. So now, almost 30 years later, I've tried to learn as much as possible about this. And so I'm an avid study of everything that has map related, because I wanted to use as much knowledge as I could get away with and then think about how can I do that to make my games better and other games better. And now I've come fair bit of it, so to speak. I have now 20 years of hard experience doing this, and the technology is 20 years better, and I'm also having a fair bit of idea on how to use the technology. And that has led me to now want to present how I think the future of fantasy settings should be presented, so to speak. And there's also many dimensions to this. Before we dive too deep into the technology and stuff, I want to say there's two different types of maps. One that is already being produced Those are the wonderful, beautiful what I will call handout maps, meaning the type of map that you want to give the characters would find, meaning the parchments kind of cool maps and stuff like that. That's already perfected, so to speak, and that has an obvious place, and I want to produce those maps too. But right now, that's not the hard part, so to speak. The hard part is to visualize the world, meaning how do you actually visualize a world that doesn't exist? And in order to do it, you first have to figure out how to do it. And then secondly, even more importantly, you have to figure out how to do it effectively so you can actually do it more on not an industrial scale, but you can sit and you can hand paint pretty pictures of a whole world, but that will be an enormous undertaking. I want to do this at least within 5 or 6 years. And also it's something that should be editable and reused and looked at from different angles, meaning some of you want a road here, you want a town there, and you want some fields, or you don't want a forest there. So we can go back in and actually re-edit things afterwards. I want it to be materia that can live and breathe and change with various needs and uses. So those are the criteria for this. First, to be able to make it look cool enough and awesome enough, and then to be able to do it effectively, and then to be able to make it in a useful format. So those are the three kind of really difficult criteria to start this project. Okay, do we have any? Oops, sorry. We have I have a Minnie. I have to feed her because she's dragging the attention. She's much more charming than
Give
me,
her some food, and I will say something real quick here.
Mm-hmm.
You are being commanded to do two things tonight, and that is after we are done here, and that is go over back to GaryCon Greyhawk. But from here, we're going to raid into Carlos's game, which will already be a little underway. And then secondly, if you want to see complete chaos, Anna and Carlos and a lot of you will be playing in Tim's game tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Central, Dark Hand Head Hunt. I think that's the name. The full all barbarian game. So
yep,
that'll kick off. Well, actually, John's Blue Box game Blue Box discussion will kick it off at 6 a.m.
Oh
so
wow!
There you go.
So I need to set my alarm even earlier to catch that one.
Yeah. You need to get up at 4 a.m. just to catch the start of that. So
well, I did that this morning, so I can do that tomorrow morning too. So
all right.
Yep. Okay, so let's go to the next.
Sure.
Now we have to dig into the meat of this, because this will be probably a next half hour to talk about it. So I'm going to use a little example here. There is a little island. I call it the Hunald Island, and it's next to my campaign area right now. It's outside of the Shield Lands. So this in the background is a height map, and that's the first stage, is to make an elevation, so to speak, and that's the height map. And I wanted to have it in the background, so to speak. And you can go to the next slide right away here. So we have the Hunald Island, and that's in the red little rectangle there, so to speak. It's just a speck, and this is increased. I've actually upsized the resolution. The little island is only like 5 pixels across, or 4 pixels or something like that in the beginning, and there is a tiny little island north of the main island that is only 1 pixel across. And so the island is roughly a mile east to west, and maybe a mile and a half or something like that, southwest to northeast. So and it's an island that just happened there by accident, so to speak. It's not actually there in any canon or published source. It just fractally happened to be a little island there, and it's so small that it will not show up on Darlene's map, because anything that is smaller than a few miles would not show up. So this is one of these things, when you increase the resolution like 30 times, then you get things that you can't see in the larger. And you will see in a few minutes here that we do the same when we dive in again. So this island this is what it looks like on my current map, so to speak. Now we need to go in and look what it will look like if we recreate a map at 5 feet per pixel resolution. And so I've done way more, but we have to start with one little bit here. So yeah, so go in, take the next one. So the first step is to use
Excuse me.
various fractal tools, so to speak, and build the terrain, because I don't want to use real terrain. I want to create terrain that is custom made for Greyhawk, that it actually fits it to work properly. So I use various tools and stuff, and those are interested can go to my website. There is a bunch of art, and or my Patreon. There is a bunch of articles that describe this more in detail, how this this step is done, so to speak, because there's a lot more to it than yeah, this is something that will take you months to really learn and master, years probably. This is the most difficult part in many ways to do it. The most difficult part is to build the terrain, and it's also to figure out how the different steps interact and type of data and stuff. So one is to learn each step, but the really biggest thing is to figure out the standards. How do you get from one step to the other? And so step one is to create the elevation at the right resolution. Okay, let's go to step 2. And this is to export all the data. And the data is things like the height map. You have on the picture here, you have various masks. Those are grayscale or black and white images that tells you where things are and where things are not. Things like forests, water, whatever it is, like different types of rocks or something like that. Or you have like grayscale images that tells you like the elevation of something or how wet something is or something like that. And then there's one other thing that we're going to talk about next here. So first you export all this data out in the form of images, grayscale or color images, and you put them in a folder. So you take one area and then you create the elevation and you program it out to generate all this data, and you save it as files on your hard drive. And then you start over with a new step of the project. So that's the next one. And that is what I call the splat map. And now I'm going to give you the first handout so you can actually see what the splat map look like here. So yeah, so I'm going to give a copy Dropbox link. So I'll copy it down here. And you can see there is the link to it. So you can see, and this splat map has the resolution of 5 feet per pixel. And a splat map is just a map that tells the software or if you view it, because the cool thing with the splat map is that it can be read by software, but it can also be used for various things that you can actually figure out what things are. So the different colors here are different types of terrain. So you have the blue for water, and then you have yellow. Those are the reeds that grows on certain beaches and stuff. And then you have the white is like sand, and then you have dark gray for rock, and you have lighter gray for gravel and boulders and stuff. And then you have various greens where you have grass, and where you have like thicker, richer grass. And then there is a brown for bogs, a kind of blue, turquoise blue for swamps, etc. So there's probably, I think, like 12 or 15 or something like that colors on it. So this is the key, because what you do is that you this is generated, the way you look at it here, right? It's generated from World Machine or Gaia and exported out. So you can simply tell in Gaia that something that is level and very close to the ocean needs to be either reeds or beach, for instance, or bog or marshland. So you kind of program this and it spits out a splat map. The cool thing is with the splat map, you can open it in Photoshop and then you can edit in and say, I want some trees here, or I want some more grass here, or I want a whole bunch of boulders in one area, or whatever it is. You can edit it afterwards. And that way you can go in and detail things down to 5 feet per pixel. And you can also use this data in various different formats, game engines. You can use it in, go back into World Machine or Gaia again to do it. So it's a very convenient, instead of having 50 different files for various, or 10 or 15, depending on, so to figure out where things are, you store it all in one file. That's very much more convenient, so to speak. Yes, Bobcat. Yes, I've used 3 DEMs to create 3D topography. Yes, I've used them. I've often download 3 DEMs in order to look like what real terrain looks like. So that's one reference source is real DEM data, and the other reference is go out there in nature with a camera and take pictures. So I use the thing to see what actually mountains look like, and I also have a drone that I can take up and I can look at textures, and I can see how rivers flow and stuff. So DEM data is definitely one, but I don't want to use real DEM that much. I try to avoid it simply because I want all terrain to be custom made, because the problem, I guess, is my eye is too keen. If I see something, I would say, oh, that's the Ural Mountains, or that's the volcano, Etna volcano, whatever. So I want it to be custom made, genuine Greyhawk terrain, so to speak, or whatever project I'm using. But sometimes I'm cheat on commercial projects. I reuse stuff that I've used in other in Greyhawk, for instance. I use it. I just shift it around or flip it north to south or something like that. So yeah.
Cool.
Okay, yeah, that's
Bobcat,
yeah.
the DEM data, right?
DEM, yeah. Again, for those who doesn't know, it's digital elevation measurement. So it's
Okay.
a standard format where you store. So most countries and stuff, they store, and for scientific use and stuff. So they actually measure the real world, and then you store that information not as a grayscale image, but you store it as a number of letters and numbers. And so it's basically a text file that, when you being read by various tools, becomes a grayscale image, so to speak. So it's a text format to actually store data in that is not super efficient, but the good thing is that you can even send it as a text message certain areas. So it's very useful format because it's easy to read for computers and stuff. And it's also an old format. I think it's so old that modern computers back then couldn't use images and stuff. I just have to let Mini out. I'm sorry, back in
No
a second here.
problem. So I'm ending the stream right now over on Gary Con Greyhawk for Anna. Please feel free to stay there as yes as please feel free to stay there as CSL Entertainment will be on shortly. Okay,
Oh, there we go.
and we will come off of Lord Gazumba where we are on our main stream here to and raid back into Gary Con Greyhawk when we're done into Carlos's game, the 9. Okay, so just to let everyone know that, so you know what's going on, and we're just transparent here. So let me shut this off now. Gary Con Greyhawk stream should be going off.
Okay, so yeah,
Whoops, I hit the wrong button.
see how many we have with us. Yep.
Our numbers shouldn't change. So there, we should be only single streaming now.
Okay, so
Okay.
yeah. So David Big Map Mac he said, yeah, so DM is a bit like a bump map. It's like a very detailed bump map. Yeah. But it also depends on how you, but now let's not dive too deep into DMs and stuff, because you can interpret them. It depends on your projection, how you use the base, how you measure if you from sea level or from the center of the earth, and there's a whole bunch of stuff, so to speak, that can get really really deep, so to speak. And this is not, we're not supposed to dig too deep into technology, so it's more like a presentation, but we can do different shows in the future where we can dig in or talk 2 hours of each of these slides, so to speak. But then, yeah, so let's go to the next one. I hope that it worked, so you can look at what the actual Splat Map looks like. And Splat Map is something that they use when they make computer games and game engines. That's where the term comes from, but it's very, very useful feature to have. So let's go to the next slide.
Gary asked, does that keep biome information?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So the different colors can be said to be different biomes. Yep. And what,
Yep. Mac, you only want to have two streams open, so it gets credit. You only get credit for 2 streams being open, just for viewership,
yep.
just so you're aware. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
No problem, Amanda.
So when you have the Splat Map, then I import that back into World Machine or Gaia. I use them in parallel because we'll see which one will turn out the best. Right now, World Machine is ahead of Gaia, but that might change. So we'll see. I'll keep my options open. And so you import the Splat Map back into World Machine or Gaia, and then you let each of these colors, you create a texture for each of the colors, and that spits out something that looks like this. And that's the basic text map or texture map, so to speak, that you use. And then you use various tools to wrap it up on over the terrain and stuff, but that comes in a little later state. Now we need to, the texture is only the ground coverage, whether the ground is grass or sand or rock or marsh or something. We need to add one crucial element in nature, that's vegetation, and that comes in as a separate stage. So let's go to the next one, so to speak. So, and that's basically just the same way we did with the basic textures, I do for vegetation. The reason I separate texture and vegetation is that at this scale, you want to know what's under the trees.
I'll be right back.
Yep.
Okay,
so in order to because if you want to use it in game engines and stuff, then you want to have tree models on top of it. That means that you can't just have the green trees under it. The trees might grow on grass, they might grow over sand, they might grow in a marshland or something. So you want to have the what's under the texture under the trees. That's why I separate the two. Okay, let's see here. Okay, yeah, that's good. You kind of have dual streaming here, so it's good. So the textures and that is requires, and the textures also at Photoshop is almost required, because a lot of textures you use colors and you make patterns and stuff like that in Photoshop. And so you work with kind of partial texture images. It can be just the colors, or it can be basic patterns and stuff like that. And then you take them back into World Machine in Gaia and you tweak them and you use fractals and stuff like that to make them look non-repetitive. It's like nature rhymes, so to speak, that grass looks almost the textures, or like a biome, grassland or something, looks almost the same everywhere, but never exactly the same. And that's the kind of tricky bit, is to get the myriad of variation, but still the likeness. And that's really, really hard to achieve that. It's much harder than you think when you start, because either you don't get it to look natural, and then once you get it to look natural, you realize that once you zoom out and you have a large area, you get repetitiveness and stuff, and it looks stiff. So it's really, really, really hard to get that to work. And we'll see when Jay comes back. So, okay, so have I missed any questions and stuff here? So, yeah, we'll see here. Yeah. Okay, I'll see. I can, oh, I have mini around here. So, okay, so we have yeah, so textures is one of these things that is a lot of fun to do, but also frustrating. But it's, okay, let's see. Develop. Yes, yep. The technical data, yes, that's the beauty of it, Gaetano, is that we can have the elevation of peaks. You can put it in geographical information systems, and you can, if you want to have these kind of I forgot the English term, but if you want to have the lines that indicate the elevation, so you can get that, and you can get the exact elevation of a certain peak and how deep a canyon is and stuff like that. So all that data is there. That's one of the cool things, is you can use all the technical side of mapping as well. So that comes. Oh yeah, Jay is a bit spooky. Here he comes again. So yep. Yeah, Patrick thought you look spooky when it's dark and you come.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
so
it's okay.
My Keurig keeps on shutting itself off. I just gotta, yeah. So, do we need a switch? Are we good?
Yeah, you can switch.
There we go.
So then
Sorry
you
about that. I gotta
combine
run back
everything.
down.
So this is what it looks like. And now I'm going to make the handout here too.
Nice.
The next handout here. So we have the handout. So that is. There we have the handout. And this is what the final result look like from a top-down perspective. When you take all the information there, we put a light map, a shadow map on top of it, so we get the trees actually pop out from the background at an angle, so to speak. There is a little bit of touch up in Photoshop. I spent probably an hour, 30 minutes or something to touch this up afterwards. So this is by no means the final. This is the first kind of real when I really try to not. I've done probably 50 or so tests to make sure the method works, but this is the first time I've actually sat down and done some proper touch up and stuff. Well, a second time I did it for my campaign map too. That will come up a little bit later here. So yeah, it's missing all the fish in the water. Yes, the maps to measure the depth of oceans and stuff, that's a separate project in itself. I've used the same technology, but I want to have the landmass mapped first. Then we can go in and map all the depths of all the lakes and the oceans and stuff. And that's actually fairly straightforward. It's easy, doesn't require a lot of Photoshop, and it can be a lot of fun. So those maps, I love to see them. So yeah.
Okay.
Oh yes, you can create fancy biomes with this, definitely, and you can create. I have a lot of cool ideas for mountains and various things. The problem is that in fantasy worlds you might have a leaning height maps have the problem is that you can only have things that go straight up. So you overhangs and caves and big kind of natural bridges and stuff like that don't work in height maps. But that's where game engine comes in. So that's a project I want to dig into fairly soon. But all this data can be used in the game engine. That's part of the fun. So I can actually create kind of things. And especially when you dig into things like to map the abyss and hell and outer planes and stuff when things get really crazy. That's why I want to combine this with the power of game engines, because then you can visualize almost anything. So I'm trying to learn it and getting in there. So it's high on my radar, so to speak, and I'm aware of it, that the limitations of this, we need to go beyond what's possible. And there's a couple of other things that comes fairly soon that we have to go beyond normal maps, so to speak, when it comes to. But this is, yeah, there you have it, the next one. That's good. You shifted just in case here. That's perfect. So since it's not only a top down, it's also real 3D data. So I'm going to get you the next handout so you can actually see what this one looks like. There we go. So this is what the little Hunald Island and that little thing that was only 1 pixel looks like in 3D, so to speak. So the and this render is not perfect. This is just a quick and dirty render done in World Machine at not particularly high resolution. You can make better ones with real atmosphere. You can make the water with real water surface with waves and reflections, and you can put cloud and weather in there, and but you can make it look like a landscape picture, like a photo, real landscape photo. I didn't have the time to do that for this, so this is a quick one. I just imported the data back in and just took a quick snapshot, so to speak. So this is not so
cool.
But I think it's cool because you can actually, if you imagine a location like this, you can actually really you can use it as an overland map for a battle or to follow what the characters are doing wherever they go, so to speak. So you can actually take the real landscape and kind of make it you can make it look real. But then we come into some of the next kind of thing is, so yeah, you can go to the next
Okay.
the next one. We can look at the island since it's now I'm going to post a bunch of handouts here. That's simply the island. Here's the island scene from the north, and then we have the next one. I'm going to put it in there. That's the island scene from.
Do you want me to go to the next one or leave it right there?
Yeah, you can go to the next one,
okay.
And that's the island from the. Oh, that's from the north. Yeah, that's the first one is from the west, I think, from the east, and this one is from the north, and then finally the last one is from the south.
Sorry, I'm multitasking. My apologies.
Oh yeah, no problem. No problem.
There's always something going on.
Yeah. So there's the island from the south. So it can be fun if you have you can actually show the characters of the players what the characters see when they come with the ship, so to speak, towards the island, so they can kind of figure out where they want to try and go ashore and stuff like that. And so that is Yes, you can reboot water to create sea of dust. Yes, and that's the interesting. And now I'm going to spill some beans that I hope Gary will, Julian will forgive me for, because he showed me a really cool project. We were discussing what was before, meaning the Azul Empire, and what it looked like before the invoked devastation and the Sea of Dust. And that means that I can actually make a model of what the country looked like before the invoked devastation with whatever terrain was there, and then imply the invoked devastation and do the changes needed in biome, elevation, and stuff like that. So,
Be right back.
that's something that can actually, yeah, be done, so to speak. So Gary had some really interesting ideas of, thank you, Gary, of the Seoul Empire before, and I had some ideas too. So I think that, and they work really well together, so to speak. So that is a secret project that Gary and me have been talking about, and we want to present. And it's also super cool because something that maps can play a key part in figuring out. And it's also so cool because we can use it in order to recreate a cool model. And I had those ideas already 10 years ago when I did my current map of Sea of Dust. I'd barely talked about any of them because I'd wanted to keep them. So it's been a pet project of mine, and it's so awesome that Gary had ideas that were very similar to mine. So we're going to see if we can make a good hybrid of it and present an article and with maps going with it, and hopefully present maps in full 3D and show the pre cataclysm or pre-invoked devastation and so on, pre-Sea of Dust and then post-Sea of Dust, and have that presented. So yeah. Yeah, exactly. Peel back the dust. So that is a really cool of the idea, so to speak. But so far we've only talked about there is a certain limitations and stuff like that. So this is the base terrain, so to speak. You can present the stuff, and it's so good that I can. Oh, thank you, Mike, and I love it to see. Yeah. So it's, yeah. So here we can actually present some cool going back. So there will be, it will be the current canvas, so to speak, at 576 and then 598, and then we have to go back and do altered versions back in history and stuff. Maybe not at full scale, but the cool thing is that when the data is here, meaning if you want to go in, you can actually go in and take away a forest, or you can change the biome. All you need to do is download the original files, which I will make available in the future when I'm done with them. You can actually download the Splat Map and re-edit it in Photoshop and then upload it into my world machine file and then re-render it, and it will come out with the other biome, so to speak. You will get dust instead of grass, for instance, or forest will not be there, and stuff like that. So you can actually change things on the fly that way. Not on the fly during an adventure, but it's more like, I see it that there's two primary customers, so to speak, or users of my maps. One is that I think the most frequent one is simply grab the map and go. They download my map and then they use it in the game, and then maybe they made some notes and maybe they use paint and just paint over and add a little town or something. But they basically use the map as it
My
is.
apologies.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, I
And
just.
yeah, and then you have the other type of user, and that's more like the make your own masterpiece. They want to take my base data and then they want to make their own version. They want to tweak things. They want to say that, oh, I want to have some marshlands here, I want a forest there, and I want some towns and cities here with different names. I want to redraw the borders, etc. And the thing is, I want to be able to cater to both those users, so to speak. I know there will always be more of people that just want to grab a map and go, but there are probably especially willing patrons who want to use the map and tweak it into their own campaign for their own campaign use. Okay, so let's, yeah, go to the next one. So we have it, and this is just a little bit better. And of course, I should have had the handout for that one. Hang on a second, I can probably get it. I forgot to add it to the hand map list here. So well, I was thinking, yeah, this is simply an image that shows a little bit better. I tweaked the trees and stuff to look a bit better. So I'm going to see if I can get that. Hopefully it's easy to get to in the list here. So did I get it? No, it's not there. So I'll need to, I can probably find it in screenshots here somewhere. That's the thing when you generate like hundreds of images a day.
You wonder where they go half the time, right?
Exactly. There might be times when they're actually kind of. Here we go. See if I can find the right one here.
That's a good one, Bobcat. So I think you missed what's going on Gary's Legends and Lore Wednesday night. I don't think you were on. There's a lot of underwater adventuring going on at Cannon Fire right now. So yeah. I'm going to take that one up. And if you watch Wednesday night's Legends and Lore about the Isle of Dread, you're going to get some underseas mapping as well. So
yeah, I plan to I want to release a map of the Nerdiv, the big lakes and the oceans. Yeah, definitely. So that's I build the model I'm making only covers the beach area and the down to about 500 meters. The problem is that these tools are metric, so I have to rethink from one to the other, so to speak. So
right.
So it's it's going to be part of the project, but in order to make I need to have the land masses placed first, and then when I have that and the coastlines, then I can go in and make the deep maps. But I've done some tests and stuff, so it really works. Okay, so where's my map located? It's actually I have the link here, so you can just get to.
It's somewhere.
Yep, there you go.
Yep.
PR Matthews. Yep.
So you have your 598 map. It's still pretty. I mean, it's not out of date, right?
No, it's just that I've done a bunch of changes and updates on the 576 map.
That's true.
So it's 2 years. It's 3 years old basically, and so there's 2 years of updates now that hasn't gone to the 5.
Do you have a list of all the changes made in 576 that you want to do on 590? Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. It's about 300 or so, 350 or something. So it will still take a while. And then I have another list of probably 100 or something changes.
Oh, Pyramid says that's 576. Is that both on there?
Oh, that's both that.
Both are there.
I think so. Yeah, I think they're both there. Otherwise, hang on a second. I'll give you the link to the. Hang on a second. It's probably not there. So hang on a second. Screenshot. I'm going to give a link.
So as Anna's looking for that link, note that I've locked in our final VIP special guest for tomorrow night, and that was what was going on behind the scenes there for the joust. So we got that all covered.
Yeah, here's the link to the PDF version, and
there you go.
And here is the link to the JPEG version. Comes afterwards, so you can download them. There we go. That's the PDF and the JPEG.
Are we good where we are? Or do we need to switch while I was trying to get coffee?
Yeah, you can switch to the next
one. Look at that.
Yeah. So the first thing is that something that need to work in a large area, you need to be able to scale up. So in order to map the Flanies, there are millions of square miles. You can't just do 10 square miles. You be able to do thousands and tens of thousands. So I've done some tests. This is, and I screwed it up by putting a lot of trees there. That was just for me to test trees. But this is part of the southern shield lands. You can see the distance. And hang on a second, I have a handout for this somewhere. I should have. Damn, I missed some handouts. Yeah, we'll see here. We can probably miss some handouts here. So hang on a second. What I do is that I can just give the link to that file right away. So you can, there we go. There we go. So this is just the area that my campaign. This is what I call the Syrian Hills, this southern shield lands. I don't think that name came to the on the public version of the map because it's a name I came up with for my campaign. And these are low hills, like couple of thousand feet high, tall or something. So I mapped about 1,000 square miles, so a little bit more than 1,000 square miles. So this technique I can actually scale up, so to speak. You can work with the 5 feet per pixel in large areas. So this area here is probably about 10 miles from one end to the other. And the tricky thing that I tested on this image was to make sure that the textures got placed properly and also trees got placed properly. So you can see that rocks work and the mountain sides are eroded the proper way and stuff, so they look natural, so to speak. And you can go to the next one. So
Awesome.
I have a couple of these images here. Yeah, so the lighting is not good. So they don't look at the render much, and there's trees everywhere. So the
Awesome.
southern shield land should not have this many trees. But what I wanted to test was that I could get accurate, good looking, realistic placement of trees. And they blend in with the landscape, and I'm really happy with it. I can put trillions of trees on the landscape, as even the Vesui will be no problem, so to speak, because these are fake trees. These are just little bumps in the terrain, but they work properly. And the other cool thing is you can take this data and put it in a game engine, and you can put little virtual tree models for each of the trees. And that's when it can get really cool, because then you can zoom in. So the future, you can do city maps and stuff like that for future, so to speak. But can you imagine the city of Greyhawk or something?
Oh my gosh.
You can see it from that.
Oh my gosh, that would
And
be
so
unbelievable.
you have a bunch, and there is more to come. We haven't done yet.
How many miles up are we looking down?
That is probably taken from about 5 miles up.
Okay.
Yeah, or 4 or 5 miles up. Yeah, in the air. So these maps will be from that perspective, so to speak. They will give the aerial perspective, the perfect to if the characters are traveling from one village to the town 5 miles away, and you want to have a rich journey where you have encounters, where they can find water, where they can go hunt, where is the good place for them to camp. You want to know where their campsite look like, and what if an encounter you have, like a random encounter, you have an ambush at their campsite and they flee out in the terrain. Here you will know exactly what the terrain look like for hundreds of miles with this, meaning you can put all your cool stuff, meaning here you can inspire to where's their keep located, where do they build that new village, or whatever it is, meaning if the bridge is no longer working, how difficult it is to go around, and how far do you have to go around in order to do it. So there's a whole bunch of cool adventuring. You can treat that landscape like a dungeon with maps of this magnitude. Remember the first one you saw of the island? This whole area is done at that resolution, 5 feet per pixel. So go to the next one. So
Sweet.
we have
So timeline.
yeah.
What do you think on your
timeline for this is that Lindor Isles will be done in this quality, and that I hope to release this summer. That's the idea. Yeah.
Yep.
So the Lindor Isle is the first kind of test bench. This area I developed for my own campaign. So it's been a kind of a mishmash of previous technology and this technology. Lindor Isle will be built the ground up using what I've learned from 5 years of tweaking, so to speak. So Lindor Isles is the first project, and second will be Ratik. I promised. I have a couple of. There seems to be a dedicated Ratik fan group that keep telling me all the time that they want to see Ratik. So Ratik is number 2. So Lindor Isles was voted in the Flanders Geographical Society Facebook group, was voted to be number 1. And Ratik, I promised long ago that I needed to do. So Ratik will be number 2. And then we will see what will be number 3. But now we're talking next year for number 2 or number 3. That will be next year. Lindor Isles is for this year, and that will be the first one that will have this. But that means that we can get some really cool maps of Lindor Isles, so to speak. Yeah, Spine Castle, exactly. Spine Castle is kind of so close to Ratik that we need to involve it, so to speak. So yeah, Gary, we need to talk about Spine Castle next year. Yep, definitely. Okay, so I'm not sure if I had the link to this, so I'm putting the link in again, just in case. Yeah. So you can download and look at these maps on your own computer, so you can see what the quality what they really look like, so to speak. And then we have the other problem. Not only you have to scale maps out horizontally, so to speak, and cover large areas and make sure it works that way, you have the vertical. Meaning in the real world, you have the tallest mountains clocking in somewhere around 30,000 feet or almost, yeah, 30,000 feet. But in the fantasy worlds, we don't know how high the Yacht Hills or the Crystal Mist, and we don't even know there might be even taller mountains out there on the Earth somewhere. So you need to literally take height, so to speak, in your setup so you can actually handle mountains that are really tall. So go and take the next one, next slide.
Awesome.
So
Boom.
what I've done
Oh.
is that I've actually, here you have the whole area. That square is 30 miles by 30 miles. So I've basically said that, okay, we need to have cover. So we have roughly 10 miles. It's about 80,000 feet in elevation to work with, so to speak. So the tallest mountain, Yacht Hills and stuff, mountains can be almost 10 miles high. That's the vertical room you have to maneuver with, so to speak. And I think it kind of covers most of it. So I just put a test cone there to really see. Yeah. Oh yeah, thank you, Wally Tanker. That's awesome. Thank you. Yep. And this one will be on YouTube and Twitch, so you can watch it afterwards. So yeah.
Yeah, this one will be download. It'll be on Twitch and it'll be back. It'll be on YouTube, just like all my other ones are. So
yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So I hope that that I've had enough of maneuvering room vertically, so to speak, and it will be a lot of fun. And actually, it's easy to do really tall mountains. It's kind of fun and easy and so on. The lowlands are the most difficult ones because they have flat lands to make them detailed and so on. It's actually hardest, so to speak. The mountains, the volcanoes and stuff are in some ways easier because that's what the programs are designed to do. But to do 2,000 square miles of flatlands, that's hard to make them realistic and varied and all that. So that's it's kind of the trick here. So that's one of the reasons I started with Shieldlands and put my campaign there, because I wanted as boring of a country as possible to see if I can actually make that interesting, so to speak. And I think this is possible. So yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So now we're moving into the stuff, meaning it's one thing to have the landscape and stuff, but for adventuring, you need more than the landscape, meaning someone lives there. You have the buildings, the roads, all the settlements and all that, all the fun stuff, all the fluff, so to speak. And maps need to take that into account. And what happens when you have a resolution of 5 feet per pixel, it's not good enough for detailed VTT maps, but it's good enough so you can get decent village maps and city maps and stuff. This is overland maps, so to speak, and it's the good raw material for more other maps. So now we move into the part of the seminar where I'm going to show how you can actually use, how good these maps could be in your own games, what you can do with these maps and some cool. So I'm going to use and those of you who've been on Legends lore and various gabbins and stuff, when I talked about my campaign, the village my poor characters who are still 0 level are stuck in is this village of Aldet that used to be a town. And you can go back on my Patreon and it's accessible for everybody. You can actually find the story and the backstory of the village of Aldet that used to be a town, because I wrote the history of this little place that I invented. It's my little hamlet, so to speak, for this campaign. So it's used to be a town, and now after the war, there's so few people living there, so it's only a village. But it still has a half standing city wall and stuff like that, defenses and things. So that was my first test case to see how these maps can actually be used in gaming, so to speak. So hang on a second. Now I need to make sure we go. Yeah. So go to the next slide and we can see. So this is the village of Aldet, if you look at it fairly close up. And what I've done is that I've just taken the big map and just zoomed cut out the part where the village is and just enlarged it to 20 pixels per feet. or per 5 feet instead of 1 pixels for 5 feet. So I just made the center part 20 times bigger, and that makes it blurry. But then I just sketched in where the buildings are and where the roads are and paths and stuff like that, grand square and stuff. And it has an inn, has a little keep, and a couple of guard towers and 2 gates and probably about 20 or so buildings. And only like 8 or 9 that are still standing, and have probably about 25 or so that are ruined. So, okay, so go to the next one. We'll see.
Thank you very much, Skagith. Good to see you.
Yeah, and I'm going.
23 months.
Oh, wow.
Almost to 2 years, and we're not talking about any
awesome.
monks.
Yeah,
So
tack så mycket, Skagith. Yep.
I have to say this
Yep.
real quick. We're on Steven Chenault's stream about Gary Gygax, and he finds out one of his players tonight is playing a gnome monk. And Chuck goes, "This guy is so dead before he even starts." And Steven goes, "Yep." So there you go.
Oh, that is tough.
It's like, you know, I just hate monks, and I hate so.
I know old school gaming is tough, but it's so tough that the DM says that you have not a chance even before the game starts. That's kind of
absolutely
really
great
tough.
to see you, Skagith. Look at that,
Yep.
man.
Oh, awesome. Yep.
So
that is great. Right. So here have I put the link to the handout map of the and that's the kind of maps that my poor players have to put up with. That's my quick and dirty Photoshop sketching. And because I needed to develop a method where I can actually sketch out every location. So that's a Photoshop map that I sketched in 35 minutes or something like that, really quick and dirty, but it fills its purpose. It's a visual aid that works, and it's fairly accurate, but it doesn't super good looking. But the thing is, I want to be able to sketch every place they go to, every building, every town, whatever. So I want custom made content for all of it, and then I can reuse some textures and templates and stuff, but I want to have the stuff. And here is the surrounding area. So the last link I put in, it was the link to the town. Now you can have the whole area around it, and that's the next 5 miles or 3 or something like that around the area. Both of them are 5. The first one that you can see, there's even, I think there's even 5 feet squares on it. The next map is 5 feet per pixel, the one that you see the slide of here, and that's the whole area, so to speak. It's the area around it. So if there is a fight outside and around the village and the characters need to flee, you actually have all the details. You can actually run an overland chase for miles around, so to speak. Where can you hide? Where is that tree? If you want to cut down and get firewood, where can you get that? And how far difficult it is to get down to the river and fish, and all sorts of stuff. Where can you go to a bog and dig up some peat and dry that and use that as fuel, and there's all sorts of things. Meaning that you have the whole, this is like a dungeon map, but for the 10 square miles around the village. So you have it, and of course this is also in 3D, so you can go to the next one. So
awesome.
Yep. And here you can actually see, I'm going to give you the link to this, because here comes the fun part. You can actually go in and just using Photoshop, you can go in and just use the same, you can simply paint where you want buildings, and you can paint using a grayscale. You can tell how many floors it should be. So you can, I will set a standard for it, so to speak. So you can have, if you have 20%, 10%, if it's pure white, it will be like 100 feet tall or something like that. We have to figure out how tall buildings can be, so to speak. So every 10% of whiteness in the image will make it 30 feet tall or something like that, or 20 feet. I have to put the standard in. So you can actually see on this picture, you can actually see the buildings. So you can see the keep, you can see the inn, you can see the walls, you can see the guard towers and stuff on the image, and you can see how the slope next to it, next to the square and the keep, you can see the slope of the hill and stuff. So here you get a model for your mock-up battles and stuff that you can use to tell your players, this is what it looks like, and you can use it for reference. You can see the trees and stuff, and it actually matches. So the top-down map and this map are use the same data, so you can actually change things and paint it on one. And yeah, David, that's interesting. How stupidly tall are the fantasy wizard towers of Greyhawk? Yes, that's something we have to figure out, because with this technology, we can make a 3D map of Greyhawk. And the other next cool thing is that you can actually use this data and bring it into a game engine and use 3D models of buildings, just like the ones they use for 3D printing. And that's the cool thing. Then you can actually have the same model that you use in 3D print that you put as a miniature on the table. The same model can be placed in the world looking identical, so to speak. So there is a cool kind of crossover possibility. So in the future, we'll see if we can talk to some of these 3D printing companies and see if we can license some of their models to appear in the world in certain places, and see if you can do a crossover, so to speak. So you can have miniatures and you can have buildings in the real world, in the virtual world, on 3D maps that are actually match, and top-down maps too. So there is a very interesting crossover because it's all data. So it can be used and reused, so to speak. Yes. Yep. Yep, David. That will be a possibility in the future. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yep. And so now I'm going to present one more. You can go to the next one.
Sure.
So I posted in here. And so all the images we've seen, this is just the different angles. You can see what the terrain looks like, and you can see the trees and stuff. And this is made using the same resolution as the little map I showed of the island. But the thing is that this is not texture properly. I just need it for my campaign. So it's a lot of Photoshop texture, but it's more polished than the other one. So the trees are placed in locations where I think they should be in the southern shield end. So there's a few trees up in the hills and stuff, but most of the countryside is barren and just or like just grass and meadows and stuff. So, but the cool thing with this is that you have the data, and that's where the splat maps come into it, because you want to have different seasons and stuff. So we can actually go, so you can show the next slide. So how about making you can make a winter map. So you can actually just take the same data and just reprogram it, and voila, you have a winter map. So maps could come in the 4 seasons. So you can have or 5 seasons. You can have spring, summer, fall, and mild winter and hard winter. So this is just a quick and dirty job. So the final maps can look way better than this. This is just a half-hour quick one just to make it work. And it's also the first attempt. Once you can have it set, the programming, and realize it's 3D real snow on this. So snow piles up. You can do glaciers, you can do all sorts of cool things that come. And in winter, you can have ice on lakes, on the ocean, that are actually real 3D ice with icebergs or whatever. So meaning there's a bunch of cool possibilities you can make on this. I think I missed a question here or something.
I hit a wrong button and I put in the wrong shout out.
Okay.
I'm looking here to see if there's any other questions. Max, zooming in on that, it's map and it switches to my table buildings, which would be kind of unbelievable. If we ever get to that point, that would be really cool. I'm looking through and I don't see.
Yeah, we have one that came in, Dragon Silver Lord of Selene. I love your handle there. Is awesome. Yeah. Do you print battle maps? No, I actually don't print maps. And the reason for that is that they change constantly. I don't want to spend a whole bunch of stuff on a map that for my game that I will use one session. So I actually use before nowadays, since we all game online, I just use VTTs and use Zoom or Discord and just simply share my screen. But before then, I had a projector. So I actually had a stand that I had next to my, and then I had a white board that I put on the table, and then I projected things using my laptop. And then we put miniatures on it, or it was overland or whatever. So printed maps is something that I would do to show off at conventions or stuff like that, or give away as gifts maybe or something. But I have hardly used printed maps for at least not in the last almost 20 years in my own gaming, because I went digital almost 20 years ago. I had back in Sweden where I moved here, I actually had a projector hanging from the ceiling over my dining table, and that way I just plugged in my computer, and it was up and running, so to speak, because that was before you had really good flat screen TVs. Now I'll probably make, if I made a new gaming table, I will make a 4K TV built in.
A great question from the original Turjan.
Yeah.
So your mapping software companies you were using as a source now, what needs to be in their next generation mapping software? I hope so.
Okay, so yeah, that's a great question. The main thing that is the problem with almost all 3D terrain generation tools is that they don't cover large areas in one go. World Machine is the only one that does it so far, and the oh, excuse me.
It's okay.
The irony is that the latest version made it worse. The latest version added a whole bunch of cool stuff, but they took away the overview modes. That's why I kind of reverted back to the older version of World Machine simply for that reason. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, so the spherical maps and to be able to see what you do in large areas. It is coming. It is coming. I'm sure it will, because games used to be small, tiny levels. Now you have worlds that are huge. And now you have games like Star Citizen, Microsoft Flight Sim and stuff that do whole planets in one go. So it is coming. So I'm definitely sure that the tools in 10 years will be fantastic. It's just that I don't want to wait 10 years before starting this. So now it's actually it's good enough to start, so to speak. So yeah.
Very cool. So things work differently near the poles, near the equator. Would you have different approach to Four Seasons for Monoland?
Yes, yeah, that's then you have and that's something that I will dig into at the very end, but let's go to slide 33. Take that first before we talk about my campaign. So move to
So keep on going.
Yeah, go to the end, the 33, the 30. So let's go to that. Yeah, exactly that one, because there was such a good question. So let's transition to that one while we're going. I'm going to let's see, I copy the right link here. So there we go. No, that was and then I go into here, and now it's time to feed Minnie again. Yeah, because she wants to have some stuff here. So yeah. She likes these seminars too, because she gets so many tweets while having them. So yeah, there you go. So here is the different parts of the world have different types of terrain and stuff. So there are two things, and that's where the splat maps come in, because with splat maps you can actually change. You can have one splat map for each time of year, so to speak. So you can have a spring splat map, a summer splat map, and so on. And that's why I also want to separate things from deciduous trees to evergreen trees, for instance. So if you do a fall map, then the pines and the spruces look the same, but the leafy trees, they differ, for instance. And you can have things like snow cover and stuff. That's why data maps like masks and splat maps are essential tools. You don't hard code a map, so to speak, and then you have to sit in Photoshop and repaint things like I've done with the existing map. It's brutally difficult, and it's not, you can't change it, and you can't use the data in any other form. But if you have more data-based maps, you can use them in GIS, you can use them in Illustrator, Photoshop, game engines, you name it. So then all of a sudden it becomes something that in the future you will have 3D virtual tabletops that can use 3D. And hopefully I will be able to, using game engines, the sky is the limit. And once I can afford to hire a programmer to help me, then the sky literally is the limit. Then we can make the coolest campaign VTT ever. And the interesting thing is I've talked to 3 VTT makers. They don't even understand what I'm talking about because they are thinking replacing battle map terrain. They don't think the big picture. But with game engines, with the right data, you can have the whole world in there. And modern games like Flight Sim, Star Citizen, Skyrim, and a whole bunch of others, the sky is the limit. Technically, you can have the problem is to create the data. Once you have the data, you can pipe it in and put the models and stuff in there. So I'm not an expert in game engines yet, but give me 5 years and I will be. then
You would think
I'll
they'd be knocking on your door of your ideas. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, but the thing is, they don't get this yet. They
yeah,
don't get, because
yeah.
the people that come from the gaming industry and to make 3D game, they are just starting to discover the big picture. They have spent decades trying to make things small and neat and packaged. And I've done projects for video games too, and they want to make, and it's kind of funny, the fantasy writers want to make everything big and enormous, and deserts are like 8,000 miles and so on and so forth. Computer game makers, they do the opposite. They want to cram everything into 10 square miles because that's the limit of what they can run on a regular computer.
Yeah.
But nowadays computers come with 32 gigabytes of RAM, and video cards have tons of they have more RAM now than computers used to have a few years ago. And I think that a dedicated DM who wants to run a cool campaign is willing to invest in a fairly decent gaming rig in order to do it.
Oh yeah.
So there is a market for it, and cool things are coming. So possibilities now are really, really cool. So this is my playing, because once you start mapping in detail, you want to know where things are. So I'm working on an Earth model, so to speak. I've shown some of this, and maybe even this one before. So this is some, and this is a really, really difficult kind of, you have to tread really carefully. Map responsibly is really here, because we only have what I would really literally say is a crappy map that we now heard from Skip Williams that he was just hastily
Over the
put
weekend,
together.
over a beer.
Over a weekend, yeah. So it's really, but I like certain aspects of it, and I like the challenge of it, so to speak. So it's kind of cool to yeah,
God, you
to have the
keep going.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's really cool to have a model to work with. And in order to place things accurately, we need to kind of figure out what works. So I try to create what I will call a best of a version. So I try to really create a model, and this is only my first kind of embryo of attempt, so to speak. It's not something that is final or anything, but I try to play with and look at things like climate, and to start with climate, you need to know where things are, both north to south and where, how close to the poles or the equator things are. But you also need to know where, how the ocean currents flow. So this is my first attempt to look at the ocean currents as well as the geographical layout. And it's an interesting model because I try to figure out how the ocean currents, because the Dramid Ocean, for instance, the Baclunish west of the Flannies, is always described to be warm. So I realized that that would flow in that circle to actually create that. And the coast of the Great Kingdom seems to be very nice and warm and cozy, fairly north. So I kind of make it, and this one actually fits fairly well with real world physics. So it's kind of interesting. So this will be, and then you kind of move into more climate and stuff, and then we have to figure out what works and what people say, oh, that wouldn't work. So we have to have a model that is kind of, that is at least accepted by broad strokes of the Greyhawk community.
I'm surprised that Gary
Yeah.
didn't go, Anna, where's the Isle of Dread and the Isle of the Ape on this map?
Exactly, they're not there because this one is based on, I just based it on my current map, and they're kind of screwed up. So yeah, and but it's also, but on the other hand, even the Isle of Dread is so small that it would be 1 pixel on this map.
The one to the due east of Hunald, what is that? Is that Aquaria?
Yes, that's Aquaria. Yeah.
And then north of that is Fireland.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there is actually a tiny little green speck in between, east of Lendor Isle, halfway to Aquaria. That's my little Esthold Islands, my little islands that I made, that I put in there, that are about 100 miles across the whole area there. There's a group of islands, and that's one thing that my little contribution to the planet, so to speak.
So wow, it's cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of this, and but it also shows that in order to map the planet, we have to tread carefully and do it kind of with care and cherish all the stuff, because I don't want to step over anyone, so to speak. So now Carlos have done Fireland, for instance, and working on it. So that means that I have to revise and edit things. So even a map like this will not be cut in stone. We need to kind of move carefully and work it. But on the other hand, once I've mapped something, it has a tendency of sticking. A lot of people kind of like what I do, and that it becomes kind of a standard for a lot of things too, which makes me even more scared at times, because then I'm responsible for for tweaking things. So it is fun, but it's also, you have to map responsibly. That's really important. When a lot of people want to use your stuff, then you have to make sure that you, first of all, that all the stories that I hear, and as much as possible, are possible to be played out there. Meaning it's your stories that should play out on the canvas. And secondly, the map should be an inspiration for even more stories and cool stuff. So that's the other big goal, so to speak. And the third big goal is for the maps to be tweaked, so you can tweak it and make your own versions of things to some degree, more or less, depending on how much you want to learn and how much time you want to invest. But I don't want anyone to have to study and learn 20 years before they want to be able to remove a forest or add a village or something like that. That's something. And I will make YouTube videos and have templates and stuff ready in the future, so you can actually dig into somewhere in the chain if you want to change something. So there is it's but this is I would say this is the first presentation of what the concept and the quality of future Greyhawk maps, and how I think a fantasy setting could and should be mapped. That half that actually visualize it. Then we have the other half that I haven't covered today, and that's all the cool handout maps and stuff. I have a bunch of cool ideas for that too, and I have some collaborators that I'm going to work. I have a friend of mine, she's an illustrator back in Sweden, a professional illustrator, and we have some cool ideas, because what would maps that, yeah, David, you have a question. I'll come to that in a minute. But Simon, what would elven maps look like, or orcish maps, or gnome maps, and stuff like that? So I have some ideas and stuff. So Kajsa and me want to dig in and do it. So if I get some more patrons and stuff, so I can pay her, so I'm going to put that in as a goal. So when we reach a certain standard, I can start hiring her to do other cool stuff, because we want to have handout quality maps and a whole bunch of other stuff.
So
that
note your
ties into
$5
it.
goes a long way a
Yes.
month.
Yeah.
It does.
If we get many patrons, so to speak, if I had 500 patrons, wow, then we could do a whole bunch of more cool stuff. If I had 1,000 patrons, oh yeah, I'll start a mapping studio and could hire a bunch of people to help me do this. So that will be fun. Okay, so David has a good question. What about any thoughts of plate tectonics? Yes, I have lots of thoughts of it. But the thing is that I also know that I should not talk about them in public too much, because I know that Dennis Tetro, Maldin, he will come and tell me how it really works. So I'm going to pester Maldin or Dennis to help me look at this, and we can see what we can come up with that is both kind of cool and useful in a fantasy setting, but also have some ideas. Because do really a fantasy worth has plate tectonics? Is it hollow on the inside? Is it elemental? Are they other cool
That's a
things?
good
So
point.
yeah, so meaning there's so many interesting considerations. So I think it's worth of some more thinking and some more articles, and we might have to have versions with or without plate tectonics. So, but it's something that is interesting because it shapes the terrain so much. So yeah.
Hey, David.
Mm-hmm.
Catching us at the end here, man. Very cool.
Yep. So now we have 20 minutes or something like that
Yep.
yeah. So
And we're going to raid into Carlos. We're going to raid back into Greyhawk. But remember, we have the giveaways too. So sit tight.
So that was
We'll
the kind of technical mappy part. So I hope that it wasn't too technical and that it was kind of inspiring. But remember that these are early days still. These are basically tech demos that now I've demonstrated that the whole chain of technology actually works. And I can do all the steps, and I make sure that one piece fits with the other piece, etc. So, and I can get trees there, I can get all the data I want, that data can be used, etc. So now I'm going to put it to use, so to speak. So once I'm up and running and learn more and spend more time on actually crafting good results, the maps will look way better than what you've seen here today.
Awesome.
But then we have my campaign. So yeah, you heard I've talked about it. My poor players who are 0 level and never get out of the village. So in a way, I should probably not be the DM that brags about my campaign, because to be honest, I'm way better doing maps than I'm running games. But I have been a DM for like 4 decades, or almost 40 years. So yeah, almost like, I think it's like 39 years or something like that today since I ran since I started my campaign, or 38 or something like that. It's kind of, I don't know exactly, and it was kind of before I started it as a continuous campaign. That was several years later, so it's probably like 30 years or something. But I have some cool. My campaigns are a little bit different than others, I think. So go to the next one after this.
Sure.
So we, yeah, that will be the last slide, so to speak. So my campaigns are, and today I've had it was kind of interesting. I had the honor of seeing during the convention. I've seen Stella Luna, Time Lord's wife, and I've seen John at Blue Box, and now Jay, and I've also seen Ever Mysterious Tim run their campaigns, and I realized that, meaning, yeah, most of us other DMs can only dream of reaching those elevated positions in DMdom, so to speak. So I realized that I would never be half as good but I saw Stella Luna for today, for instance, her kind of way of treating the story and stuff, meaning it's fantastic.
It was
And
very
Jay,
whimsically fantastic.
exactly. She sounded like a cute owlbear cub.
Yeah.
And after hearing her, that's what owlbear cub sounds like.
Yeah.
Meaning it's fantastic. And when you blue box and see some Brim, the voice actor that I unfortunately forgot the name, but his voice acting
Josh.
is fantastic. Josh is fantastic, and John has awesome way of dealing with it.
You just said
Tim's,
something nice about Geek Dice's daughter there, so
yeah, okay, cool, yeah, but it's
was awesome.
so cool. Meaning that the way she ran the adventure was
awesome.
absolutely fantastic. Meaning that, and Jay's, your mastery of the multitasking around the table and stuff is legendary. It's cool. But what I think that my campaign and my DMing can that I can be good at, so to speak, is world simulation. That's something that I think that my campaign and my, yeah, exactly, my campaign and my adventures can match some of the best others, or at least be as good as some of the other masters. Meaning I can paint, and that's one of the goals. When I want my players to feel like they're actually in a living, breathing world. They can go anywhere, the world, and only if they stay in one spot, the world will come to them. They could just, in my campaign, I want the players to decide, I just want my character to sit on the hill next to the road and see what happens today, and who comes by, and so on, and what bird life is there, and so on. And I just want to go fishing in the nearest river. What the hell do I find? And stuff like that. So things that are kind of, I want the world simulation and also dynamic, meaning not, things aren't static. It's not like a room with an encounter and we wait and then we go there and a week later and then just take the encounter there, so to speak, because NPCs and stuff, they move around just like the characters do. And they go to sleep, and some of them never sleep because they're out haunting things everywhere and so on. So things are dynamic, so to speak. But and it's interesting because my campaigns are both world simulations, but they're also hyper local. It's like I put the poor players, their characters have been stuck in the same village, little Aldet, for 7 sessions now, and haven't gone outside of the walls more than for like a little eye blink, so to speak, to check around. Meaning I mapped all this area and haven't used it, and probably never will use it for the first 10 sessions. So it's also, yeah, exactly. You might find a ring. Yep. Yep. So there are things like that. And certain things are kind of there until someone finds it. I put a lot of little details and stuff, meaning there's the Farlang has a little shrine on one of the roads, fairly not too far away from the village, and they can find cool things there, and it has some connections. There's a druid site not too far away that the characters haven't experienced yet or found yet, but it's there, and it has some cool things that happens there. There's 2 graves outside the village that the players haven't invested in. One is where the Halmarda, the cruel, that was one of Vecna's men, where the Shieldlanders burned those men and buried their ashes. There's
Oh
some
wow.
cool things going on there. And then there's the other site that was a little bit earlier, where the Halmadar the Cruel, when he invaded all that was a town back then and killed all the Shieldlanders, he buried them without burning them or anything at one site. And that's another nasty thing going on there too. So those things are there, and the players haven't investigated yet. So there's some things don't go away, but other things are really going around. But so I try to make the campaigns are local in that way, that I try to overdevelop an area. So there, every house and there's something cool going on, and so on and so forth. It's not just a bunch of scenes you have to go through. You can actually go around and experience things for a long time. And it's not that I planned to force the players to have just keep their characters in the village for 7 sessions. It's that the players have had so much to do in 7 sessions that have actually stayed in the village and been fully occupied so far, I hope. Yeah. And bridge over Salinta. We've talked about that a few times. So I made the stone bridge and sagging bridge into locks for the canal, so to speak. So in my campaign, because the Nyrdiv, a lake, naturally don't have 2 outlets. So I thought that the Nessa River is the natural outlet, and the northern Salinta, north of Greyhawk and towards Nyrdiv, is actually a dug canal. And that kind of change, and that was the reason that they made a big city. The Great Kingdom realized that was a very strategic point for trade and military and other purposes. So they could dominate trade on the Nyrdiv towards the ocean by cutting the Nessa River and just take the what is it, like 75, 80, 100 miles or so, instead of the 500 miles through the Nessa River and the Nat Marsh and stuff. So that was actually a much better route. So that's how I made the reason, because that made Greyhawk probably the second best strategic location in the whole subcontinent. The Thornward between Ket and Bissell is probably the most key strategic position on the continent.
So there's a question about VR
yeah.
mixed reality could complement your maps.
Yes, yeah, and the cool thing is, since it's basically just data, textures, elevation, masks, and stuff, you can put in, when you put them in a game engine, yes, you can use it on a phone, VR, whatever format, so to speak. So I want to build the next generation of maps as a set of data that you can use in many different ways in the future. So that's one of the goals. So not only like a pretty picture to look at, but a set of data that you can use in GIS tools, game engines, and stuff like that, and publications too, if you want to publish it in a book or something, or print it on a set too. So yeah.
So
yeah, we're starting to, we have about 10 minutes. So that was just a few key things on my campaign in a few minutes, rushed minutes. Yeah. So I hope that. Yeah.
So any other questions? Sorry, my voice is going.
Oh yeah, mine is too.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
and we're not even halfway through, but that's okay. We're having fun. So
Yeah.
yeah, and we got between here and Carlos, we got 160 people watching. So how can we be upset?
Oh,
You know what I mean?
wow.
Between
That's
both.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I need something. So why don't we talk about what's going on? If we don't have any
Yeah.
other questions, and
Oh
so
yeah. And see if people come with questions, and we
yeah,
can fill in
yeah.
at
So
the end.
you're going to see me pop this up. I got an ingenious idea here. Let's see if this works. It
Yeah.
probably won't, but if I go over
Well,
here,
since you can,
yeah,
yeah.
since I have this up, I can probably throw things right in here now.
Exactly. You can use that frame there
Yeah,
to
let's
put
hope this
things.
works here.
Yeah.
So let's try this. Okay, it did. Look. All right. So tic tac toe. It was tonight. We
Yeah.
have the following. We have John from Blue Box. We have Kayla, Time Lord's wife, and Anna joining me on After Dark, second one. Now I will be up here. This is the only night I'll be upstairs for After Dark because I have to be up here real early for Tim's game. There's no sense in me having equipment down in the basement. But tomorrow night I will have the joust up, and I got to tear down the half of the joust and put up the terrain, which is
Yeah.
my Dwarven Forge, which takes a while for Par and Holes Part 2. So tomorrow night, after dark, I'll be down in the basement, but tonight I'll be upstairs. We're going to talk about what's going on today and what is going to transpire tomorrow, because John's got 2 streams tomorrow, so we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And the big event tomorrow night too. We'll talk about that. But before that, of course, we have a really big event that you need to get up early for, everyone. Dark Hand Headhunt, right? Because you got Anna playing in this, you got Carlos playing in this, you got William Henry Dvorak, you got Tano, Matt Luzinski, Steve Fritzma. I'm missing one person, Tim. I always miss that last person.
Yeah.
And that's an all barbarian campaign with Tim DMing right here. And it'll be on Gary Con Greyhawk. Okay, so just note it'll be right here with me setting it up and running it. But Stetson, there we go. Who played last time. So you have one new player, and so Tim will be running that tomorrow. That'll be a blast and a half, and that's early in the morning. But before that is Lord Master's Arcanum at 6 a.m. Central. So, and Tim will be on that too. So no help from the watchers. I don't know what that means, Tim. I'm sorry. I'm just a little brain dead.
You've been the one playing in the. More, so you should know. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Oh no, so here's the thing. Once again, you can cheer for Tim. You can cheer on my channel. It'll show up in the scroller. It'll show up on the screen, right? You can cheer and do all that stuff still over on my channel, like you guys all did the other night for the DM's roundtables and other things. Yeah, so that'll work. And we can do that. So we already have a turn-in from Dorgrim, so that's 1 regular hero point already. Tim, just note that down. So that is tomorrow. So don't forget to find some time to sleep. Oh well, yeah, we're gonna try to. But we still have the 2 giveaways tonight too. So last call to get in on these. All right, your first winner's choice $25 gift certificate to CSL Entertainment. Now remember, it's a redeemed gift certificate. It's not a coupon. So you want to go in and redeem it and get the credit. And the second one is also a Reaper Miniatures $25 gift certificate. So make sure you're in on both them, and we will give them away courtesy of Cannibal Troy, which he always is. He does some very nice things, him and Patrick, for the channel. So Anna, what do you want to shout out here? What else is going on?
Yeah, we have 2 questions. I can answer them real quick. And we had the question from David Big Mac. Fans detail for my maps. Yes, I want to have fan doing cool stuff. And I always have a perfect example is Mike Bridges. Mortellon that did an awesome write-up of all. And publish that on Cannon Fire and stuff, and the best way of getting stuff on my map is to do cool stuff for the Greyhawk community, release it on your blog or Cannon Fire or Greyhawk Online or in Earth Journal or somewhere, and get the Greyhawk community to like it. That's the best way to put it, because then I have no hesitation to put it on the map. And the other big criteria is that it should complement published sources, not replace it. That's the other thing. Yeah.
Yes.
So find a cool little place in Greyhawk or the Flannies that is not written up, that doesn't have any features or anything, and then adopt it, and then write cool content for it. And if the Greyhawk community likes it, then definitely needs to go on my map. So that is the best. And you can try and bribe me, but that's the second best. I am bribable, but I try my best not to. So to bribe me by becoming a patron is another good way of doing it.
No,
Jay did that method, and he got Altamir on the map very easy. So I'm bribable too. Yeah, but it's still the first 2 rules still apply though. It needs to be liked by the Greyhawk community, and it needs to complement published sources, not contradict them. That's the key thing. And then
community embraced is the right word.
Yeah. Gaetano asked me if I'm thinking about Luna and Selene, the moons of Greyhawk, and I said, no, I haven't had those lofty plans yet, so to speak, but it's technically possible. But you see, I have one planet, we have the big planet first, and that is enough for probably the next 3 decades or 2 decades.
Yes, I'd say so, but you
on
never
the
know.
other hand, yeah, as soon as when I publish this, others can take my files and do other stuff with it. So yeah, so that is a kind of simply a kind of a battle cry for saying that others can actually do what I do too, and do those planets. That will be kind of moons. That will be awesome.
There's a lot of potential still out there, and the great thing is the community is really is taking on different things, like Troy and Gary and Rich and the whole crew doing the underwater locations map. You know, that's great, and the putting all the adventures in Cannon Fire is fantastic. It's just it's going the direction. Everyone does their little piece, you know, and that's the cool thing.
Yeah.
So, do we ever end on time? This is good because you and I have another stream in 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
so,
but this is kind of amazing. We're ending on time.
Which is good because Carlos is on, and we want to give Carlos as many people as we can.
Yeah, we don't want to. Yeah, we don't want to make sure we keep people away from an awesome Carlos game or Castle Entertainment game. That's important. So yeah.
Tim, you got that hero point for Anna's character tomorrow. So we got one open one from Dorgrim and one from Geek for Anna.
Oh,
okay.
Thank you so much.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome for tomorrow's morning's game. Some regulars. So all right, I'm going to close out the giveaway, and let's see. Please be on to claim this. And let me close that. Let me open this. I didn't kick over anything or knock anything off to this time.
Yeah.
So does mine have to go for tomorrow morning? Well, yeah, it can't go for the joust, Dorgrim, because that would be just too unfair in the joust to really. You know what I mean? I have a competitor for every character. 16 plus. I'm not going to go into detail on that, but we have my Zoom is good at that bottom. It's going to be like backed up with people. Gary, Time Lord's wife, Stella, Cannibal, Patrick. All the signups. There are 6 of those. All the guys around my table. Everyone. It's going to be a blast. And the unfortunate thing is 8 people have to lose in the first round. It's a single elimination tournament. We got to get done in 4.5, 5 hours. Yeah. So that's the sad thing about it. But it doesn't mean we'll never do this again. I mean, because Bill's putting in all this time. So yes,
you can use that. Altamira will have a yearly tournament.
All right, so you're going to give an anti-hero point to Tim. All right, Dorgrim, we got it. So Tim's DMing. So Tim's going to be happy about that. Yeah, Tim's going to be very, very happy about that. Big Alf, you got in just under the hair there. Yeah, we'll be Gaetano. Gaetano is playing, and Chuck, because he just had his grandchild, who can't be there, and Gaetano did a very nice thing. He picked Josh Deathdealer, who's absolutely terrible, last ranked, seeded out of 16, before he was the last person. There you go. So Gaetano got Josh Deathdealer. So how dare you? How dare you? What? give yourself no, he's being facetious, I believe. He really likes it. So all right, I'm closing out the giveaway here, and then we're going to raid into Carlos. We're going to raid into Gary Con Greyhawk and kick see how well we do tonight. I got to be nice with the other channels. I'm very competitive, as you know.
Yeah.
So Cloudbot, here we go. I'm talking to myself again. Let's go to the giveaway. Shut this off. And
meantime, I can just say thank you to everyone who
watched. Great show.
Thank you to everyone who helped me do this. And it's my job to keep doing this, and then some occasional commissions and stuff. That's the other half. But it's using the same technology, and I just love to have Greyhawk as a platform to develop and tweak and inspire and stuff. So thank you everyone. It means the life for me.
Antiquitous is the winner. So I know he's on both channels, and I think that's so. I know he's here. But if he doesn't come on to claim it, I'm going to let the other one pick first. Okay. So second winner. He's on both. And now it's thinking. Don't do this to me.
Don't.
Derek Extort. Okay, now Derek had to. All right, so I will choose for both of them. Derek's the one that got me the shield, and he had a game, so we're good on both those. Extort and Antiquitous. I got them. They're good. you know, when you tell me you're going to go, it's a wonderful thing, and I will get them to them. And I thank you all. So
Yep.
hang tight. Let's go to. Yes, great people, everyone. Let's get over to Carlos now, and Jay is going to hit a button here. I'm hitting this. All right, we'll see you in 2.5 hours for Greyhawk After Dark chat. Okay, so see you then for about an hour and a half max. All right, setting the rate up. Let's see how many we can get over there.
Yeah.
Check. Whew. There, boom. Carrycon Greyhawk, rate going. Terjan, the underwater link you can get with Gary Julian, or you go on Cannon Fire and that'll show it. Or my video from Wednesday night too. So, all right, rating in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Talk to you soon. See you in a couple hours.
Bye.
That'll double the numbers.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sorry I had to go downstairs. I had to get coffee. I'm just burnt.
Yeah, no problem.
And then my freaking Keurig wouldn't work. It kept on shutting off.